They are definitely a hate group, and they doxed someone on Angela Benedict's page. The same group that had a discourse about Muslims invading Western countries and destroying their values. It's full of neckbeards into metal looking for goth chicks. Best left alone. Fuck that group. They don't deny or disavow the transphobic or ugly and anti-Semitic ideals the members post. The Facebook group Goths Against Cancel Culture needs to be studied, all the members put on a list, then deleted entirely. Ideology like that doesn't belong in the alternative community. Conservatives have developed a strange obsession with goth, one in which they fetishize and cosplay the look, but treat the subculture and the members with resentment, all while simultaneously using goth as a convenient excuse as rebellion against the mainstream ideals. Plenty of alternative creators have already covered the idea of this red pill or conservative goth, and they are huge inspirations to this video. Dimitri Falco, Cal Does Life, and so many more. I'm not here to rehash the idea that conservatism and goth are incompatible. No, this video is specifically focused on a Facebook group and why they are a uniquely serious problem. The Goths Against Cancel Culture Facebook group. So currently at this time, the Goths Against Cancel Culture group is one of the larger, more active goth groups on Facebook that isn't just kind of overrun by bots or very general. They're actually the top result when you search goth on Facebook. Actually, that's not true. They're the top result when you search groups with goth. Don't search goth with just the Facebook search bar. It'll just show you this. Originally, I wasn't going to blur or censor any of the names or faces that were going to appear in this video. The owner of Goths Against Cancel Culture insists on keeping the group public for whatever reason, and I was just going to full-on display it. However, I'm not making this video to cancel these people or witch hunt them or send harassment their way. And at the end of the day, a lot of these individuals are private individuals on Facebook with their families and kids and jobs all connected. These aren't usernames on Instagram or TikTok. So I decided I will blur and censor the names of the private individuals. I'll blur their pictures. But for public figures like musicians or influencers, I will not. So again, just making this clear, this isn't me taking down the group or harassing them or anything. This is a cultural analysis focusing on the group's common beliefs and behavior and showing why they're a problem in the goth community. Lastly, before we start, I want to apologize for the background and the audio and quality of this video. I recently just moved to Europe from America. I don't really have like a recording studio or office or anywhere set up to really record yet, but hopefully that'll change. So, with all that being said, I'm Alex in a coffin. Let's dive into this group together and just see exactly what's going on. My first introduction to this group was actually this post that my wife showed me. You can't be goth and also be racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic. So a pretty accurate and normal post. Comments on this post went back and forth between people talking about the issues with the group or basically the group members defending that yes, they can be all those things. The way they go to lengths to admitting they're racist is almost funny. Like being racist and sexist isn't an opinion, it's just being a shitty person. And then they have the audacity to get mad when you label them as such. Honestly, you can be goth and be whatever the fuck you want to be. Goth stands as a form of individualism, which means do what you want, just wear some black while you do it. These groups are usually just filled with weirdo racists that just dye their hair black and think they're goth when they're the complete opposite. You 100% can be goth and be all of those things. No one should be prejudiced against another for any reason, but it doesn't make them not a goth. Literally the whole movement of these is to be woke. Y'all just want to be included in shit and get mad you can't because the way you think is weird. It's just opinions. Literally no, it is not. Your opinion affects the lives of other people. Oh no, not everyone shares the same opinion of me. I can't cope with the fact that everyone is different, so I'll try to shame in the comments and post it. You're no better. So yeah, they went really back and forth. However, one comment that absolutely just killed me was this one. They won't approve of any of my comments. I wasn't even posting anything shitty. All I said was that nu metal isn't goth. So after reading that comment, I knew I just had to see this group for myself, and thus begin my month-long deep dive into Goths against cancel culture. Originally, this was just kind of personal brain rot entertainment for me. I never really wanted to make a video or plan to document anything. But the more I saw, the more I realized I just had to share this goth group with the world. And quickly I realized that these people are not goth. And I'm not even saying that in a gatekeeping way. I mean, they just straight up fucking admit it. Very happy to have found this group natural and organically. While not goth myself, I am vehemently against cancel culture. I am happy to be a part of a group that draws so much ire from crazies. I feel right here. Thanks for having me. I've been here for a bit. I'll be honest, y'all. I'm not goth. I'm just a redneck who grew up in the country. I joined because I'm against cancel culture on either side. I do like some heavy metal and more, though, if that counts for something. Hello, everyone. I'm not really all that goth. More of a metalhead, but I dig the goth culture and music. If I could label my style back in the day, I'd call it redneck goth. Yo, am I even goth? I never thought of myself as goth, but I like goth girls, have tattoos, always wear black, and listen to metal. Particularly doom, black, and some death. Not goth, but I've been seeing so many comments and posts of normal people thinking of life, ironically from the weird people of society. Just read what this group is all about and I decided to join. I'm Christian, but also not the cookie cutter kind, so I'm weird to them. So hey. Just wanted to thank everyone here for letting me hang even though I'm not goth. Haven't been called a poser or any of that since I joined. I'm a classic metalhead who mostly wears black band shirts and ripped up jeans and sometimes a battle vest. These days though, Jesus, family, and career is my priority, in that order. I'll just say it's really cool to meet other alternative people that share common values. Rock on. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna say this. I love this group, not about the goth thing. I'm not goth at all. But I really like the idea of challenging the idea that someone has to be normal. I'll do that all day. Stay feisty, friends. So, I don't even know how I ended up here, but I'm not mad. I'm not even goth. I do like gothic architecture and gothic horror, though. So, these are just Jerrys and Larrys from Arkansas and Alabama, with no connection to goth at all in this group, and this self-described goth group. And these posts are so frequent. They're constant. 9 times out of 10, these posts are from clearly not alternative old men or some e-boys who dye their hair black and wear skulls. All basically saying that they're not goth, but they hate cancel culture. So, sick goth group you have here, guys, especially when half of your members attack other people for not being goth or not being goth enough. But we'll get to that later. And eventually this guy rolls in, basically supporting the group, saying that they shouldn't dilute what goth is. I love the whole concept of goths against cancel culture. It's an inspiring platform, blah blah blah. But there seems to be more and more metal fans on this page. Metal isn't goth. Even black metal isn't goth. I have no problem with metal fans adopting the fashion of goth, but by co-opting metal as goth, this will eventually make the term goth meaningless. Goth is not only the clothes you wear, it's a music genre, one that is diverse as the dark and romantic and melancholic themes that it draws from. And the group basically told him to shut the fuck up. Okay, boomer. No one cares. The term goth is already meaningless. Hey brother, delete this. Goth has been meaningless for like 30 years. Cope harder, with the picture of Varg for some reason. And so on it went. Here is the first issue. Their participation in a so-called goth group is contorting and warping what goth is. They turn goth into an aesthetic, a misnomer, a quirky personality trait, rather than a subculture with any meaning, diversity, and history. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but goth is and has always been a music-based subculture with deep ties to pro-LGBT and anti-racist ideals, as well as anti-fascism. But to them, it's just vibes. It's anti-establishment. It's a symbol. They say goth is meaningless to pull it away from its base roots. It's sort of infiltration, but really I feel like it's safe tourism of a vibrant subculture, as well as simple appropriation, which brings me to my next observation. Okay, so let's go back to that original post that started it all, because it was reposted in Goths Against Cancel Culture. Okay, let me ask, who is this chickie to tell people that they are goth or not? Especially when in the comments of this post, she says she is not even goth. People are allowed to have their own opinions and still be goth. Just because you ain't a woke liberal don't mean you ain't goth or punk or alternative. Ah, woke liberals, eh? So being anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-transphobic, that's all just some woke lib shit. We'll keep that in mind going forward, because spoiler alert, these guys aren't woke liberals. And they aren't goth either. The group members either don't know what goth is, or if they do, they don't even like it. So what do? They make it anything they want, of course. Every single person in this group has a different definition, different idea, or different history or whatever of what goth is. The only thing that they actually really agree on is, first and foremost, goth is a vibe and an aesthetic. The first post we'll cover is honestly this almost satirical post asking, how can you tell if someone is goth or just cosplaying? The fact that this group had to be made and has such a huge amount of hate towards it should be proof positive that goth is an aesthetic, not a set of beliefs. Goth, first and foremost, is an aesthetic. If I put a group of people dressed like traditional goths into a room and asked you what you see, you'd probably say you saw a group of goths, not a group of cosplayers. It's when things that become about politics through worldviews that division is created. Goth means next to nothing. It's an aesthetic. It's a fashion style, bro. Or you have this post in which this guy says, goth is a state of mind. At least he links Depeche Mode, which I guess is goth adjacent. Close enough. I see a lot of people asking what is or is not goth. To me, it's always been a state of mind, a state of being, and a lifestyle. Then we have the comments from some other posts around the group. This one person had the audacity to say that goth was derived from punk. Goth isn't from punk. What the fuck? We've had people dressing like a funeral and making peace with death since even before that bitch-ass Edgar Poe was shitting out of his sissy boy poetry about crows and shit. What the fuck? Okay. Look at that fucking plague doctor and tell me that isn't the most butch goddamn goth shit you've ever seen. Motherfuckers stuffing herbs and cotton in a bird mask to go out and attempt to slow the most brutal pandemic of all time, cutting people open and shit because, honestly, they believed bloodletting would heal people who were coughing up blood and drowning in their own lung excretions. That's goth and metal as fuck. Punk wasn't a thing until after the Vietnam War. Punk is just hippie for angry people, and goth is older than most nations. This comment was in response to that chickie post. I guess he's just mad that he can't be goth and racist. Silly me for thinking goth was a fashion lifestyle, not a political movement one way or the other. That's news to me. Because as we all know, it's a political movement to be anti-racist and pro-human rights. And lastly, in response to a goth creator posting a video explaining what goth is, aka you can't be racist and transphobic in the scene, this girl responded with, people want to gatekeep what things can and can't be. There's literally so many different types of goth, it's impossible to say what is and what isn't. Let people enjoy what they enjoy. We love black, darkness, the macabre, dark poetry, metal, classical music, pastel, cartoons, Jesus, Satan, pearls, tattoos, crosses, the list goes on. People gotta stop trying to categorizing everything in order to exclude others from the table. It's giving mean kid in high school, and I'm not with it. Girl, all she said is you can't be racist. Alright, so goth means nothing, and it's just an aesthetic. Right, so what did they think about the music? I mean, you can't deny that the music isn't at least some important aspect of goth, right? No, they just mock foundational artists or ignore the music completely most of the time. I believe that you don't have to like and or listen to certain specific music groups / artists from the past to be considered goth. Sue me. On a post about The Cure, they said, they look like fucking weirdos, LMAO. I'm curious what they sound like, though. I'm sorry, you don't know what the fucking Cure sounds like? You're in a goth group. I'm not a fan of The Cure, but I respect his fidelity to his wife. Oh, that's nice, I guess. Let's remember that one, because it's a virtue these guys lack. Robert Smith and Ian Curtis can't sing. Most of the time, these dudes just talk about metal and why it's better or how it is actually goth. The metal genre makes better goth music than the electronic stuff that's so popular in the goth culture. I guess he's referring to darkwave, but I honestly doubt he knows what that is. Who cares? Metal, regardless of type, is goth punk. I hate that people try to dictate what people listen to in order to be real or authentic. Gatekeeping is cringe. I'm not saying you're doing that, but seriously, listen to whatever you want. And lastly, we have this guy who said Suicide Boys is goth for fuck's sake. Suicide Boys is a goth band. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. To be fair to them, they do sometimes post goth music, but 90% of the time, if they discuss music, it's dad rock or black metal. And I've got no problem with that. I was in a black metal band for a while. But guess what black metal isn't? It's not goth. But remember, goth is an aesthetic, and goth music can be anything you want it to be. Let's move forward with that logic. 'Cause perhaps they know where it came from. Absolutely not. These people think goth came from fucking Germanic tribes 2,000 years ago. What the fuck? Delusional idiot, lol. I hate to break it to her, but the first goth was most likely white. Wait until she hears about the history of the Visigoths. That was in response to Jay Hawkins inventing shock rock. I'm a goth artist, and I didn't stem from goth music culture. I came from the architecture and the literature community first. So from my perspective, the political side of goth seems to be a very different place. My self-interest was originally literature and the beauty in Gothic arts. Then I began studying Visigoths and Ostrogoths, the true originators. It's pretty fucking epic. How is goth about the music when it's been around for centuries? Laughing emoji, nutting emoji. This group not only rejects goth culture and history, they just rewrite it to whatever narrative or headcanon that they have. And warning to any group member that may be watching this, I'm about to say something that you're going to disagree with. Leftism is intrinsic to goth. The very first goth song that can be pointed out as the birthplace of goth is Bela Lugosi's Dead by Bauhaus. And these words come from Peter Murphy's own mouth. We'd been talking about the erotic quality of vampire movies, even if they were the Hammer horror type. There was this conversation about the sexuality and eroticism of Dracula. Danny talked about his fascination with this and the occult connotations, so we carried on that conversation and made it into a song. That quote comes from the book Dark Entries, Bauhaus and Beyond by Ian Shirley. And I know this may come as a shock, but Dracula is pretty widely accepted by historians to be Victorian gay erotic literature. Even the name Bauhaus comes from a German school that was originally persecuted by the German government at the time of World War II for being too left-wing and too Bolshevik. Also, for some reason, they thought that Killing an Arab by The Cure was literally about what it says on the tin, killing an Arab. This song was never cancelled, but it's still relevant today. Gee, I wonder what he means by that. Don't worry, we'll cover that aspect of the group later. But hilariously, this guy came in to save the day. It's literally a reference to leftist activist and absurdist philosopher Albert Camus' short story, The Stranger. And thus, every member in the group started to never talk about killing an Arab ever again. Shout out Camus, by the way. Lastly, there was this other post of them trying to defend just their opinions and political views, and this guy asked AI if goth was political or not, but his reading comprehension gave up about halfway through the first sentence, I guess. Literally the first sentence. Let's see what it says. While goth itself is not inherently political, the values it promotes, such as tolerance, individualism, and resistance to conformity, are often seen as incompatible with conservative or right-wing ideologies. As a result, overtly discriminatory or hateful behaviors including racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, and anti-Semitism are generally not tolerated within goth communities, especially in physical spaces like clubs and events, which often function as safe havens for self-expression. This collective stance against intolerance has led to active resistance against attempts to appropriate the subculture for fascist or right-wing beliefs. Oh great, he couldn't even finish reading the sentence, or let alone the next two. Look, the history of goth is outside the scope of this video, and I'm not going to mansplain every band or their beliefs or their formation. But my point is, from the beginning, goth bands were feminist and anti-racist. They were pro-LGBT and anti-capitalist. And yes, being goth is and was always about diversity. It's for the misfits of different peoples and cultures, different sexualities. The foundational values of goth were pro-LGBT, anti-racist, and anti-fascist. And if you have a fucking problem with that, then you're not goth. I know I said that was the last one, but I do have one last post to share for this chapter, and it will become very ironic the further we dig into this group. So the group owner posted this. Why is it that every self-righteous Antifa goth dude branding me as evil looks like a balding diabetic mess who hits a meth pipe while his mom still folds his underpants? Are these membership requirements? And the comments she received would be hysterical if they weren't serious. These men are not actual goths. Rather, they are of the same invasive species that has infested nearly every subculture, fanbase, or interest group in recent history. That's why, regardless of what identity they are masquerading as, they all share a set of common specific traits, Taurus of the most cancerous order. These freaks, much like their historical progenitors, are an amalgamation of bored trust funders, degenerate Marxist idealists, moron college students, and low-down atheists who just want to see everything good and decent in the world burn away. They happen to genuinely be demon-possessed, or at least willing to accept ruinous entities to fund some amusement in their depraved, empty lives, so they cling to a communist group that is now an international terrorist organization, funded by even more depraved and power-hungry atheists. Ripping them apart like an undercooked hamburger is legitimately God's work. You sound like a stable, functioning member of society. Nice little call for violence on the end, too, by the way. They think it's evolutionary expedient to adapt and wear the sheep's clothes just to get close to the women they want to fuck. Nothing more. They're actually tortured wolves in disguise. What they don't realize is that there is no reward for trying to bang those women. They just end up captured, domesticated, and stuffed in purses like chihuahuas for lesbians. So alone, these just read like incel manosphere wailings. But the real issue with these comments is that Goth, the subculture, has always been a refuge for women, for queer people, and for alienated minorities. It rejects the rigid social conservative norms of sexuality, of aesthetic, and religion. This language isn't just disgusting, it's dehumanizing. I mean, look at the terms that they're using. Invasive species, degenerates, demonic possession, even the little divine call for violence. These group members are the ones that wear goth like a camouflage aesthetic, a cosplay, whatever the fuck they want to call it. They are the ones treating goth like a hunting grounds for women. They don't want to actively participate and engage with the subculture, they just want to colonize it. This group is actively rewriting the history of what goth is and what it means to whatever they desire. But this historical vandalism feeds directly into the main purpose of the group, cancel culture. When they invent a past in which goth was never diverse, never queer, never about the music, any resistance or pushback to that lie can be reframed as persecution. In this way, cancel culture is a shield, used not to defend their free expression, but to protect their rewritten history. So with all that being said, let's dive into the group's thoughts on cancel culture. Cancel culture, a shadowy spectre looming over their lives with its tendrils. Most of these people are just regular guys who have been canceled. Just kohanya. How though, they never really say, but that's not important. Okay, I guess this one guy did, but I feel like there's way more to the story. I told my young nephews that they will have to learn to get along with people in life that think and feel different than them. They ran to woke mom, my sister. I'm canceled from hanging out with them now, or really being in their lives at all. Canceled from having family. Is that really all you said to them? 'Cause I'm wondering. Anyway, the main post I came across was this one. What have people tried to cancel you over? Unpopular opinions? Mostly this was just transphobia. Shit like, all they were saying is that men are men. The world's gone woke and crazy. But there were also a lot of people who said that they were canceled for being anti-vax or anti-feminist or white and Christian or whatever this is. A few different things over the years, mostly for subscribing to the Southern perspective on the war of Northern aggression, but I've also had a couple of failed Me Too attempts. According to the group members, they're being censored and persecuted, and some have even been ostracized from their local goth scenes, just for their opinions. But do they know what cancel culture is? Shockingly, yes, they do. In this post, this man was feeling hypocritical because he replaced the vocals of a female artist on his song because of her political views. Okay, hear me out. Female singers especially. So, years ago, I had a girl sing on a dark industrial song I wrote for one of my albums. I wrote the melody and lyrics. It's pretty simple, But shortly after, she turned into an Antifa-supporting hater of anything not communist and embracing cancel culture. I liked her voice on my song, but the mentality grossed me out, and I honestly would have rather had another voice on it. I never said anything to her about it, and I'm not going to. But if anyone is interested, maybe, even someone involved with Ligerhawk Records, would like it to be a female voice. Kinda contradictory that I'm canceling someone in a way, but LMAO. I think many of you get where I'm coming from though. Song is in the comments. And people rushed in to reassure and console him. That's not canceling someone though. You just held them accountable, as the left is always saying, for being disgusting individuals who affected the image of their employers. Not like a small group of people getting mad over something minuscule and using pressure to get someone fired. The employers in the cases involving Charlie Kirk just get a phone call and their employer chooses whether they want to continue their employment. And at some point, they need to taste their own medicine to understand that cancel culture doesn't end with us. It will eventually come for them, which it has many times. And that's why the left is constantly eating itself from the inside. What's funny is these people are so clueless, they called the US the hypocrites. And you're right, a lot of girls do goth just to be seen as cool and flex on the internet. And it sucks for people like me, who have been listening to the music as well as goth-adjacent music since the beginning of high school at least. Unless you count new wave, then middle school. I'm 27 now. But it sucks because people think I'm fake because it took me years to start dressing goth even after I was educated on it and knew various bands. It's not canceling. You don't know any communist spot on your album. Not contradictory. Seems pretty common to not want people you disagree with. That's not cancellation. It's your song and you can produce it however you see fit. I think you already know this, but it's cool to share. I'm curious what her reaction would have been if she knew she was replaced. So what if it's canceling? It's Antifa. They're murdering zealot bastards. They want us all dead. One of them could publicly murder you, and the rest of them would gloat about it and say you deserved it. You shouldn't be afraid to reject everything about these people, whether it's canceling them or not. The goal is survival and a peaceful, reasonable society, not preserving our moral high ground. But see, that's the thing. That singer was left-wing, so they just held her accountable for her views. They were undesirable, and people are allowed to choose who they work with. See, when a left-wing artist loses fans or gets criticized, it's justified accountability. But when a right-wing artist receives criticism, it's cancel culture, it's censorship, it's persecution. I mean, just look at Nicki Minaj as of recent. Left-wing fans are abandoning her as the right welcomes her in and says that the left is canceling her, and this group supports her, of course. These members admit that criticism isn't canceling. People can face consequences. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of criticism, but they say these things only when it benefits them. This group is not naive or confused about the concept of canceling. No, they use it as an excuse to get away with the harmful ideas that they spout. However, on the flip side, sometimes it seems like they don't know what cancel culture is, though. Can anyone clearly, concisely, and comprehensively define cancel culture? In theory, it is aimed at justice and accountability, but in practice, it seems to be used as cover for tribalist bullying. Where does the line get drawn between legitimate justice and adult bullies? Or, if you don't have a clear answer, what experience with cancel culture brought you here? And this just got comments like, just constantly being told what to say and not to say, lol. Being told what to do and what to think. Nutty middle-aged women who try to control everyone. So I guess it's just code for anything I don't like. But this guy annoyed me the fucking most. Justice implies agreed upon laws. Cancel culture is, well, cultural. Cultural change over time. It's a bunch of whiny people who think they've been wronged, but not legally, so they lash out. So in this guy's head, if you're wronged, but not legally, you aren't wronged. Why don't you try telling that to the civil rights activists in America back in the 60s and 70s? Or try telling that to people who are in a shit ton of medical or insurance debt because they can't fight big corporations. They haven't been wronged. Like, fuck me, how can you even speak with all that boot on your tongue? Anyways, at some point the group posted the band Trapped, who now claimed to be cancelled, and the members just said he was a whiny crybaby. Trapped blames cancel culture for low ticket sales. How do we feel about this? Kind of a cheesy band. I thought that one song was decent when I was a kid. He talks shit online and has right-wing politics, and people do shit on him for it. I don't know if they've been cancelled. The band sucked 20 years ago. They never stopped sucking. The singer and his annoying little turd, they've never been cancelled, it's just boring, lame, shallow-ass formulated nu metal butt rock. Well, didn't he, defend a child molester or something? I can't remember exactly. Nah, I genuinely enjoy a lot of their music, but it isn't wholly because of cancel culture. They started going downhill with no apologies, and it's been garbage with hardly anything worth defending since. It's a whole lot of garbage. He doesn't know what cancel culture is. I've seen him cry about it years ago in various forms. The bottom line is people do not like his music. So, are any of the group members actually canceled? No, probably not, although they may feel like they are, but facts don't care about their feelings. Most likely, they just probably got cut off by their family and friends who don't want to listen to their rhetoric anymore. However, there are some actual musicians in this group from bands you may even know, unfortunately. I'm not going to cover any of them, simply because I just don't know if it's better or worse to. If I do cover them and I explain why they were canceled, then I'm just spreading lies and I'm just still canceling them. If I don't cover them, then I feel like they'll say I'm silencing them or something. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation. I just feel like it's better to not give them any coverage whatsoever. There's no reason to give them more promotion because they're already struggling for it. If you are interested in knowing who they are on r/Goth's problematic band list. With that being said, I do want to share this one post that Brian Gropner, a musician who worships the ground that Tim Pool and Jake Monroe walk on, he shared. I'd posted about a little gasoline invertebrate limited tour yesterday, but cancel culture is still alive. Woke mob cry bullying has resulted in each venue backing out, and appears that a group like Goths Against Cancel Culture is needed more than ever. I know there was a venue thread here earlier, but feel free to message me if you know a place that generally won't cave. Trepidatiously using the @everyone tag again, because this sort of thing is kind of what Goths Against Cancel Culture is all about. So yeah, he posted about his band being canceled. That's not the important part. The important part, and what I wanted to show you, is this top comment right here. The way we do certain shows is pay people in advance. You give a general vicinity, then noon the day of the show, you send a group message to everyone who paid where the location is. So I worked in booking after college in the music industry for a while, and this post or this comment sent alarm bells through my fucking head. Who schedules shows like this? This is the weirdest way I've ever heard of anything happening. Even punk shows aren't really scheduled like this. Well, I took a closer look at his profile because it just seemed a little sus to me. A lightning bolt, a skeleton, and some anti-communist little symbol. And the words say Wellington Arms. Who are they, you may ask? They're just a straight-up neo-Nazi white power band with shirts like this. Bringing back fascism, one black shirt at a time. And when I looked up the band name just to confirm, Google AI showed me this. Yes, the US-based band Wellington Arms is a known white power neo-Nazi band. The band was formed in 2008 by Eric Scott, described as a veteran Nazi skinhead who was previously involved in another band called Violent Retaliation. Wellington Arms is associated with the neo-Nazi music promotion network and right-wing extremist political group Blood and Honor. But if you don't believe AI, this also comes from hopenothate.org.uk. Wellington Arms is another white power band. Formed in 2008, its frontman is Eric Scott, a veteran Nazi skinhead who had previously ran a band called Violent Retaliation. So this guy is allegedly a Nazi band organizer/promoter. But the group says Nazis don't exist anymore, and especially not in their community. And if they do, they're all just leftists and moles. I've observed what seems to be fake accounts sharing neo-Nazi symbols in this group. They are likely fake profiles run by trolls or leftist organizations, who then capture screenshots of the post and use them to raise complaints. The described scenario, where fake accounts post inflammatory content like neo-Nazi symbols, only to screenshot and publicize it as evidence of the group's extremism, which resembles a false flag operation commonly used to discredit opponents or fabricate outrage. As of now, there are no active neo-Nazis in the Goth community, and haven't been in over 20 years. Or, obvious plant is obvious. It seems like it's just deflection to say that it's leftists and moles in your group. But hold on, I gotta give Goths Against Cancel Culture some props here for this one. These types of people are not allowed in Goths Against Cancel Culture. Thank you. I'm literally a Nazi. They tolerate me. This comment doesn't track. You have been banned. So this guy got banned for saying he was a literal Nazi in his comment. Great moderation there. Good job, you did some real detective work. But, oh wait, you had people whining in the comments that you canceled him. Seems like there's quite a lot of Nazi apologists in your group for some reason. Oh, so we aren't against cancel culture, I guess. If you truly want an open-minded community, you need to let Nazis in too. As long as they don't insult, demean, or name-call, why can't they? Would you let a member of the NAACP in? Members of that organization are every bit as racist and closed-minded as the Nazi. I'm confused. I thought this group was actually against cancel culture. Is the title a lie? Your group, your rules. I personally wouldn't ban anyone for having an opinion. That's exactly the problem with cancel culture. We shut down people we disagree with, and in doing so, we remove the only civilized way to handle disagreement. When you sew people's lips together, fists are all they have left. Also, sort of related, but not really, I just thought I'd throw it in here, is this pretty evident dog whistle for the Nazis were goth kind of take, I guess. Hey guys, quick question. Which of the World War II factions was the most gothic? Yeah, exactly. Hugo Boss, Hunter. I don't really care if he was being sarcastic or not, the joke is fucking dumb. In the end, being cancelled to these people seems more like a badge of honor. It's proof of taking down the man or simply a way to dodge criticism. They talk about it so much, but also so proudly. Poor reception or criticism is reframed as oppression. They don't fear cancellation, they just need it narratively. Cancel culture isn't the problem. The problem is simply criticism. So we've already got a little taste of what their opinions are, but let's see exactly what these opinions are that they claim they're getting canceled for. So let's return to that original post for a second. Why did that make Goths Against Cancel Culture so angry? Well, because they hold most, if not all of those views. We've already seen them kind of admit it, whether it's dog whistles or just blatant statements. Xenophobia, transphobia, misogyny, and anti-Semitism are all undeniably present in the group. This is going to be quite a long section, so I'm going to put a trigger warning here because some of these comments get quite intense. If any of the things that I just mentioned may bother you or threats of violence, feel free to skip ahead. There's a lot to cover here. So let's start with the xenophobia, Islamophobia, racism kind of section. On a post about Christmas markets here in Europe, they blamed the increased police presence on Muslims and Islam. As someone who has been following the rapid suicidal decline of Western civilization, here are some pictures of this year's Christmas markets over here in Central Europe. We're not supposed to live like this. P.S. The creepy uncanny valley crib with the faceless entities is the one in our capital city of Brussels. They decided to erase the faces to be more inclusive. Two small details. A. It cost us taxpayers 60,000 euros, and B. They decapitated the figurine of Jesus. The mainstream press euphemized it as someone stole a part of the doll. Curious what you guys think of all of this. Also, let this be a warning to those who are not aware of the religion of peace and their lovely tolerant ideas yet. First, this has already been proven to be right-wing fear-mongering, but regardless, the group members had a lot to say. Cancer, with a crescent and star. Sweet fuck, a crusade is too subtle. It should be on sight with foreign invaders. Islam must be annihilated, otherwise it will bring the whole world back into the Stone Age. So, it's okay as long as it's anti-Christian, but not when it targets mud people, their religion, and pedo-profit. Or we have these posts about guys complaining about their regional scenes. Goth clubs in Germany have become white enclaves, surrounded by shisha bars, kebab houses, and Arabic barbershops. All sick as fuck things. The clubs are whiter than a KKK convention, but this doesn't stop them to preach diversity as our strength, and to believe that our right-wing party is a bigger threat to them than a huge surplus in young men coming from regions where women are treated like shit. But when someone is noticing this hypocrisy, then they will cancel you for being racist. I am in Denver, one of the most progressive cities in America. Some in the goth industrial noise scene here cancel me because I'm opposed to Islam and I am vocal about it. How woke is where you live? Then we have this awesome guy who wore a Vlad the Impaler shirt while passing a mosque. So brave and clever. Hello, new friends. I passed a mosque wearing this today. If looks could kill. And of course the idiots ate that shit up. As if those inbreds have the requisite education to know who that is. Last time Muslims invaded Europe, Vlad stuck poles up their asses and made a fucking forest. Forced multiculturalism will be the death of us. And just some pictures of bodies on spikes. Lastly, on a post of another goth creator, GothBZ666, basically saying that racism isn't welcome in the scene, the racists had to come out and defend it, of course, with a little sprinkle of misogyny on top. Oh please, I know a ton of goths who are racist. You can dress like anything and then also believe anything. Such an L take from this bitch, bruh. I really don't understand these people who think you have to have the same political opinions as them in order to be a certain anything. They claim to love diversity, but absolutely despise diversity of thought more than anything. Goths can be racist too, guys. To them, evil means letting in all the rapists from the Middle East. So actually, yeah, that is actually evil, I guess. There were so many comments of xenophobia and racism, but this chapter is already going to be long enough on its own. And obviously with them being conservative, they of course hate the LGBT community. In this post, the question was asked, does goth feed pride too much? A little open-ended, but we know what they meant, and the members knew what it meant as well. If you mean the alphabet mafia, yes. As in one for the 7 deadly sins, or as in LGBT? Kinda one and the same if you think about it. Alphabet soup, I try not to feed the monsters. And quickly returning to that what were you cancelled for post, there was obviously these types of comments. Refusing to say a man in a dress is a woman. Refusing to bend the truth. Wrong is wrong and a pig is a pig, no matter how you dress it up. For not falling in line with leftist ideals. Being against Antifa. For thinking men can't be women and women can't be men. Apparently I don't have empathy or some shit. I don't fall for fascist bullying or gaslighting ideas. I'm not a bad person for thinking different. I'm a bad person for not letting these people brainwash me. Men telling me they're really women when they have a beard you could swallow a badger in. That the recent trans movement was a giant psyop of this Fourth Reich to get all of the alt-brain citizens and children to sterilize themselves. Just entirely despicable and degrading comments coming from a supposedly goth community in which androgyny and breaking gender norms was always defining parts of the subculture. Alright, so they hate foreigners, they hate the LGBT. What's next? You may have already guessed it because it's usually the only people they ever seem to attack. It's women. But these guys seem to only really hate on goth creators that are women. I never see them attack anyone else. However, they of course have their in the wild comments. Women shouldn't vote, not gonna lie. I used to simp hard for any goth girl that would give me attention, until I actually started dating them, especially the variety with a strong online presence. 90% chance she will be an entitled, bratty snowflake that will just slow me down in life. Never worth it. She's just been spoiled by the simps. So of course there is those types of comments, but like I said, 90% of the time it's attacking goth creators that are women. The first creator I saw that they attacked was Riley Elena and her video on Jake Monroe, of course. Girl who is not goth tells us she is goth and Jake Monroe is not goth, then proceeds to accuse Jake of every horrible thing in the book towards the end of the video. Also says moderates, independents are just conservatives in disguise and need to stop lying about it, a point that particularly upset me as an independent, who is in no way conservative, sharing because this is an obvious attempt at canceling him. Okay, hold on a minute guys. I thought you said that goth was a vibe, a lifestyle, a state of mind. So why is she not goth? I thought gatekeeping was bad. Well, if you dilute goth down to just black clothing like this person did who commented on that post. Gatekeeping goths are annoying and boring. Gothic aesthetics, black clothing, dramatic makeup, Victorian or punk-inspired fashion, melancholy or romantic motives have existed independently of any one musical style. Then yeah, I guess it's easy to point fingers and say that she isn't goth. But you guys definitely are. The cognitive dissonance is tangible. But did they watch the video and hear what she had to say? Nah, of course not. The video was too long for their 7-year-old attention spans. They just resorted to throwing insults. What the fuck is this broad? I'd think this was satire if it wasn't 3 fucking hours long. Another Fugazi stun ad. I'm not giving this ginger minge 5 minutes of my life to listen to verbal diarrhea, never mind 3+ hours. Man, she must really lead a dullard life if Jake lives rent-free in her brain hole for hours plural of a planned, executed, edited, and uploaded make-believe meltdown. Fanculo questo rumor. What a weird-looking person with a shit-eating grin on her face. I watched the first couple of minutes and lost a few brain cells. Any longer and I may develop cancer or have another brain aneurysm. Not gonna lie, I got about 3 minutes in and I had to turn it off because that chick is so cringe and annoying. Okay, so I know you're saying nothing was extremely misogynistic there. They were just throwing some schoolyard insults, nothing about women bad. But my point is they only attack women creators. And one woman in particular is attacked more often than I think I've seen anyone attacked. For some reason, they really hate GothBeezy666. Her posts are constantly reposted, and the comments are all generally the same vibe, just insulting her and saying that she's stupid and whatnot. I actually reached out to her, and she is a super sweet, very nice person who didn't know why she was getting all of this hate and didn't know where it was coming from. Like, she did not know that the group was reposting her constantly and sending hate brigades over to her videos and her posts. So this idea of them saying that she constantly attacks them and harasses her falls through and doesn't make any sense. She was just bitching about being bullied yesterday. She made a post about wanting to leave Facebook. I'm like, maybe stop harassing people. So they make a video about us. We mock them and now they're saying we're harassing them. They can give it, but they can't take it. Here's an idea. Don't pick fights, then you won't have a claim that you're being bullied. Hey, imbeciles, guess what? She didn't make a fucking video about you or pick a fight with you. All she said is, you can't be racist or transphobic and be goth. I know that's a hard concept to grasp, but if you feel called out by it, maybe do some self-reflection and wonder why that's offending you. On this post that they reposted, she addresses the idea of the red pill goth. And the group members left comments like, these people are so fucking it's insane. So if someone is from some obscure country, do they have to follow US politics the way these people want in order to be actually goth and not a poser? It's so stupid and trivial. She's an idiot. I see her posts pop up all the time, and every time I see her posts, I feel like I lose some brain cells. Goth is literally about anti-conformity, yet if you don't conform to what they say, you aren't goth. Fuck the norm, fuck what anyone says, be yourself regardless of what they say. They aren't the goth police who tell you who you are. Liberals can be goth, conservatives can be goth, anyone can be goth if you're about the music and culture. Spook on. How old is this baby? It's a shame that this mania has overshadowed everything in their lives. Okay, on this post, they maybe feel a little called out. But the next one is much more vague. So she says, you can't say I want a hot goth girlfriend and then be weirded out by her political stances, music, and taxidermy collection. And they respond, well, goths can have any political stance, even MAGA, so don't feel like you gotta conform to these dumb bitches. She isn't even saying anything about right-wing political stances or anything. She just said political stances. But again, they felt called out and got butthurt. Left-wing political stances are basic bitch political stances. No one is weirded out by them. Very true. I shock people with mine, but I'm on the extreme right, so I normally just keep my mouth shut unless asked. Then little by little I'll let it come out. I don't listen to clowns. If she was 2 IQ points higher, she'd be as dumb as a rock. Thought is wasted on that one. I'm not conforming to any narcissist. I don't give a fuck what mental illnesses caused her to be that way, but a cute non-psycho person who is into goth fashion and likes new wave 80s punk metal music, yeah, I'm into that. Hobby and style cool. Mentally ill, deranged, raging, politically motivated to be living propaganda billboard? Nope. I bet you she has an OnlyFans. Also, this will now be a recurring theme. Anytime a woman says anything they disagree with, they will call her an OnlyFans girl to, I guess, degrade her, which I think is pretty funny considering the fact that their poster boy Jake Monroe has an OnlyFans. So next we have this kind of mega post from GothBeezy666 and a couple of other creators, again discussing this idea of a red pill goth. If I had to see it, you do too. A bunch of coggies posing as goth with a list of rules. The only rule they have correct is you have to listen to the music, otherwise the rest is cope. This modern goth era is garbage, and not revolving around the music but politics. This is ludicrous. So it says, the oxymoron of the red-pilled goth and how far-right ideologies are infiltrating the goth subculture and how to combat it. Sounds cool. Fake goths. Promote white supremacist ideals, think goth equals white/pale. Ignore the political history behind the subculture. Gatekeep from baby bats. Shame people for being basic. Think simply dressing in black equals being goth. Capitalize off of goth fetishization. Have bigoted beliefs or attitudes, fat phobia, homophobia, racism, etc. And then we end with the pictures of the other creators who helped. And it just evolved into the usual. Real goths just sound like pussy-ass shit libs. Where's the gothic influence? I'm a real goth. No, I hate goth rock. The fuck? Being goth means you don't follow the norms and you feel outcasted. However you express that is how you want to. Being goth means you don't follow the norms and you feel outcasted. However you express that is how you want to. Things a group about being against cancel culture, yet here are rules to cancel other goths and people. Kinda weird and totally distorts the message. I joined to have some sense of community and belonging. An outcast looking for a place to go who's weird and loves oddities and dressing in darker manners, yet being classy like a Morticia Adams. This is not the vibe. They look exactly how I expected them to. Like, goth people? Told you. Gen Z is a problem. They are the one fetishizing goth. Everyone fetishizes goth. P.S. I bet the 3 girls are white. P.S. Everyone fetishizes goth. Laughing gif. Good thing I don't let fuckwits dictate my actions. Are they going to talk about all the e-girls pretending they're goth to capitalize on simp men, or do they get a pass because of feminism or something? Brother, it sounds like you're projecting and the e-girls are getting to you. Always mislabeling. How can anyone change anything if they can't properly identify and articulate the problem, instead of just claiming racism and fascism? Nuance always equals some form of hate/phobia. It's so cringe. Of course, it's the OnlyFans e-goths. Also, I just want to point out that none of those creators have OnlyFans, despite them constantly saying it. I didn't look that deep or dig too far into it, but I didn't see any evidence of one. I know Goth Beezy does not have one, so they just use it to demean and degrade these women. These next comments just come from about every other post about her. I mean, she's been posted fucking 5 or 6 times, probably more at this point. Certainly not unattractive, but not sure about hot. Certainly not hot enough for me to overlook that gallon of narcissism she's carrying around. She puts on so much makeup. That's so goth. And look how she films herself in the mirror. That's the gothiest thing I've ever seen. I don't know about you guys, but I'm overwhelmed by the surplus of gothness over here. I proclaim her goth arbiter and queen. You're goth damned right. A kid can't get their ears pierced in the mall, but their teachers can start them down the affirmation rabbit hole without parental consent or supervision? We live in clown world. Okay, you're fat and stupid. Got it. Also, who told you were hot? This is a lot of hate towards this woman. So just to end this on a high note, there was one woman who went behind enemy lines to defend her. This group is hypocritical. You all say you are against cancel culture while canceling people and calling them out when they are literally just sharing their own political beliefs and educating people on why being inclusive in alternative spaces is important for everyone, and that excluding people who will attempt to exclude and bully minorities are not welcome in the community. If you are in this group and you feel attacked by that, then that's most likely because you yourself are a bully and feel called out for your bullshit. Leave people alone. This is a group for bullying people. And yeah, she's exactly right. That is what this is. It is a group for bullying people. They are just straight up bullying this poor woman. Like I said, I've seen her stuff reposted 5 or 6 times, maybe even more. They can play dumb all they want, but the only reason that they keep attacking her is because she's challenging their beliefs. Alright, so is there any other goth creators that they hate? Yes, of course, obviously, Dimitri Falco or Chamber Graves. What did she do? She attacked their star child, Jake Monroe. So of course they had to rush in and defend. Coggy's gonna cog, and those comments, yikes. Good thing Jake is already quite established and virtually uncancelable. Heaven forbid anyone with differing opinions on politics and social issues and dare partake in the subculture about music and spooky stuff. I don't care what your politics are. No one gets to decide who can enjoy things. It's a stupid and useless fight because people are going to enjoy things whether you want them to or not. Also, I just want to point out, this is the second time that they've used the term coggy as an insult, and I really don't know why they've chosen to use that term. 1, it sounds stupid as hell, and 2, does it mean like they're cogs in a machine for saying you can't be red pill and goth, or is it cognitive dissonance? Who fucking knows? Anyways, here's the comments. I have always felt that if you have to announce that you're a goth, then you're trying too hard. Goth is not only an aesthetic, but it's a state of mind and a lifestyle. This girl seems to be trying way too hard, and she probably works at Walmart. LOL. Those who were truly awakened remember the exact day and moment they realized that they were indeed living life in the dark and loving every minute of it. And that doesn't mean you have to be dressed from head to toe in black and have to have black eyeliner on 24/7 either. It's in your heart, it's in your blood, and it's in your soul, and it doesn't come from Hot Topic. Septum piercing alert. I have docs that are older than her, so her opinion means nothing to me. That girl is a woke poser fucking... Some fake Gen Z trad goth. Ugh. This Monroe guy seems alright. This chick is Delulu insufferable. I had to bail at 5 minutes. Her elementary, pedantic outlook hurts. This chick is status quo in the scene. Boring. I've seen a couple of her videos on YouTube, and it's mostly about how everything is problematic and being poor me. I've noticed that with most goth content creators. I understand he wants to be part of the movement, says the zygote who just found goth an hour ago. Why is it always some British pipsqueak? Brother, I don't think she's British. She reminds me of how woke California has sadly become in the club scene in recent years. Her overgeneralizations and mischaracterization of the right is really hard to listen to. I love how she starts out by dissing his energy while giving off her high school cheerleader vibes. Like she is the people making fun of goth. Literally. I know what I'm saying is anecdotal, but she spot on sounds like the kids who made fun of goths in my high school. Does she sound like a cheerleader because she just has a personality and, I don't know, vibrance to her voice? Like, what does that even mean? Also, if you're still mad about cheerleaders being mean to you in high school, it's probably time to get over it. Girls and others like her don't even know what fascism is. Of course she's a leftist. Dude, communism. It's really just fascism with a different name. Doesn't she know that both sides want control? But clearly she doesn't get it, because she has a raging hate boner for Trump. It's kind of weird to me how many times these guys will say that age is some kind of thing and that these people can't be goth. I thought you guys were against gatekeeping, and also from everything I've seen you guys talk about and discuss, we Gen Z goths are just way cooler than you are. All you guys do is sit on Facebook and whine about how you can't be a bigot, or discuss how Led Zeppelin and Metallica were the pinnacle of music. Alright, and the last person we'll cover here is just some random person on Facebook who they reposted who said the cardinal fucking sin apparently, that you can't be racist and be goth, so that triggered them. Goth is political. You can't be racist and call yourself goth. Goth is not just white. A black man literally invented shock rock, which inspired goth music. Goth is derived from punk, and punk is political. Black people paved the way for the alt community with their music. It's not just a style or an aesthetic. Goth is all about inclusivity, diversity, and uniqueness. Goth is not just for pale or skinny people. If you're goth, you can't be racist, homophobic, transphobic, or ableist. If you are, then you're just cosplaying as an alt person. You've been dressing goth for 1 year and you think you can tell others how to be? It's always some fucking 20-year-old e-thought too. And you know the deal by this point, the comments all just respond stuff like, her profile is filled with gatekeeping and cancel culture. This is the ultimate form of poser. Not knowing jack about the thing you say you're a part of, then appropriating it with whatever your own selfish bullshit is and disguising it as diversity. And like a good cuctress, she turns comments off. Yawn. E-thoughts are a plague on society. She should shut her legs and her mouth. Yeah, not letting some e-whore tell me what is and what isn't goth. That's where you're wrong, bucko. You can definitely be racist and goth. I know we kind of went back to the racism topic there, but this shit is so intertwined, I had a hard time figuring out which type of hate speech was which. However, at the very least, we did have some people in her original post showing her some support. Goth was born despite conformism, not to recycle its racism. It's the height of bourgeois ridicule. Goth belongs to the shadows, not to whiteness. Thank you for dragging these reactionaries back down to their own mediocrity. And lastly, of course, we have anti-Semitism. This stuff gets taken down by the moderators pretty quickly, but it's there and it's prevalent. One member proudly posted a picture of his new shirt which said Goth Jew, and I don't think he got the reaction he was looking for. Do you love Moloch? They've got a finger in everything, huh? Unfortunately. And just some gifs showing their disapproval. And also, in case you're like me and you didn't know what that Moloch comment was about, it's a dog whistle for Jewish people sacrificing children. So it was the holiday season, so a lot of members were posting pictures of their menorahs. And when I got to these posts, they were already heavily moderated. However, evidence of anti-Semitism is still visible, as evidenced by the comments that were on these posts. It's the last night of Hanukkah and wanted to wish our Jewish members blessings. Update. It's disheartening to see laughter as a response to a post intended to bridge gaps between people of varying beliefs. May your day reflect the warmth you show others. Happy Hanukkah to my chosen Goths and all the blessed allies. And the top comment from the moderator? People need to take a good look at our rules. Genuine hate speech is not tolerated here. Kinda weird rule when you claim to be a group against cancel culture. Hate speech is a fairly vague term. We even had one member blaming Jews for cancel culture. Yep, Abrahamism, and especially a certain sect of it, history's first and original cancel culture cult, literally canceling cultures all around the whole wide world for centuries and on. Also, there was this post about Venezuela, and this guy completely unprompted posted this. It's more nuanced than this. First, there is no Rothschild central bank in Venezuela, and they, yes they, already have their puppet ready to go, and will soon be seen with the tiny Roman kissing the Roman wall, and Isis Ra Elohim, if she hasn't already. Reality is not real. Honestly, he's kind of saying nonsense to me, and I mean, he clearly is self-censoring Israel, so just take that in your own way. But perhaps the group's most insane self-report was when the owner of the group did a social experiment, posting, "Who is this dirty hippie and why is she engaging in Middle East drone protests?" So the kicker is that is actually the owner of the group in the picture. And in her own words about the social experiment, comments called her a hero fighting evil Jews, an ignorant bimbo, a Jew, said that Jewish people sacrifice children, or that she's just a commie lib. She ends all of this by saying, "See each other as humans first." That's a great sentiment for someone who now openly admits that her group is just filled with hatred, but just allows it to fester. And of course, sometimes the group gets a bit too bold, and comments just straight up calls for violence or death for whoever they disagree with. On that previous Christmas market post, there was a video linked of a German guy spouting off nonsense that Islam is the main source of crime and whatnot, and this guy responds, "I have no problem offing them." Or we have this pleasant post, "A woke and a vegan are drowning in front of you. Do you drink your coffee or read your newspaper?" Or this guy who just thinks violence is always the answer. Gee, I wonder what he means by that. But then the group owner had a fun idea. What if we all said something that we respect or admire about the other side of the political spectrum? I've got a fun exercise for you. The rules, in the comments below, leave something you either appreciate or align/agree with from the other side. No negativity, sarcasm, whataboutism, or digs. It needs to be something 100% sincere and how you would compliment someone in real life. If you have only negative things to say, pass this post and say nothings at all. Which garnered comments like this. "I have nothing good to say about the extreme leftists, but to the regular leftists, let's get out the big old wood chipper and take turns tossing people on the list in from our respective sides. I appreciate when foreign liberal female groups do topless demonstrations." I know that's not really a violent comment, but it just shows where these guys' heads are at. Lastly, do you remember the very original post I mentioned that brought me to this group? Well, the woman who posted that got a message from one of the group members. And warning, you might want to skip this part. "Fuck you, ugly bitch, muting me. I'm gonna spend my time now finding out everything about you and where you live, you till you then kidnap you." I really don't have words to describe how vile this group can be. Is this really what they think Goth stands for? This type of shit? So we have rampant bigotry, literal calls for violence flowing through this group freely. And remember, these are only the comments I was able to screenshot. I wasn't checking the group religiously, so imagine all of the other crazy stuff that got posted or nuked before I even got there to screenshot it. But this all checks out though, because the group actively supports figures like Jake Monroe, Tim Pool, and Nick Fuentes. All these dudes have so much issues, ranging from standard misogyny to just straight up Holocaust denial. So it doesn't surprise me that they're discussed positively. I'm not going to cover these dudes, so go check out Dimitri Falco or Riley Elena's video on Jake Monroe if you want to learn more. All you really need to know is that they're just a bunch of losers who push right-wing propaganda. But maybe does the group like anyone else? Yes, actually, they showed their support for the late French actress Brigitte Bardot. What does she have in common with the previously mentioned people, you ask, though? She was a racist and a xenophobe. Brigitte Bardot was based. In my opinion, her controversial views were natural and cannot be dismissed as old-fashioned, and she spoke them freely and without apology, which is a rarity when it comes to movie stars, current or ex. I knew what she had said already. That she faced legal repercussions for her speech was an outrage, but sadly expected in modern Europe. I question how many of these people who are jumping on the "she was racist" bandwagon knew anything about her views prior to her death. But here we go, another excuse for them to show the world how righteous they are. When Jane Birkin, who was on the opposite end of the political spectrum, died, we didn't see anybody from the right sandbag her for her views. I didn't. I liked Jane, despite my disagreements. I liked her for other elements of her character. I've always liked people I've disagreed with. I'm inspired by people I disagree with. It's not difficult to have a free mind. Rip BB. Right-wing views, racism, and Islamophobic slurs. The uncomfortable truth about Bridget Bardot. Rip Queen. See, this isn't about free speech, it's just about bigotry and the resentment of minorities. Next we have a post on Twitter about some guy reiterating, the same things that have been said from the beginning. Goth is not conservative, Goth is not Republican, Goth is not pro-life, Goth is not transphobic, Goth is not ableist, Goth is not homophobic, Goth is not racist. If you disagree, get the fuck out. This is why I like this group. I'm sure everyone will agree this person is a And of course the comments rushed in to confirm they are nothing more than just plain and simple bigots. A man can identify as a woman, but heaven forbid a goth identify as a conservative. I am at least 4 of those things. 5 here. I disagree and I'm staying. Men can never be women. None of those things are goth. It's about a certain vibe, aesthetic, and theme enjoyment of the macabre melancholic. I don't even think all the sex shit that is sometimes involved with goth culture is really goth. It's just counterculture in disguise, and I think goth and counterculture are not the same thing. This has gotta be the most pathetic bullshit I've ever read. What? Just because someone has half of a functioning human brain to see all of this is total nonsense. Makes him a poser? Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense, poser. And by the way, it's not poser, it's poser, you fucking loser. Or just, nope. You can be goth and also be racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic. Be all of them together. Oh, how cute. They made their own racist version. Lastly, before we move on to the last chapter, I do want to stress that this is alleged because this post happened before I began screenshotting and documenting everything. I can't prove it's real because it's removed now, but the admins know that it happened. There was this post titled, "What's your most unpopular opinions? Mine is Stranger Things sucks," or something like that. And almost every single comment on this post was about a certain Abrahamic religion controlling the world, or saying 6 million wasn't enough. And it's where that original comment of Muslims are invading the West came from. It was just essentially dozens of comments of vile anti-Semitic xenophobic bullshit. And yes, you can say the admins deleted and moderated the post, so they are moderating and taking care of the group. But it's undeniable these people exist in the community, and so much is slipping through the moderator's fingers, intentional or not. Yes, you can say the people are banned or the comments are moderated, but ask yourself, why are so many people drawn to this group, and why are so many comments slipping through? Alright, so with that heavy topic behind us, when the members of Goths Against Cancel Culture aren't being xenophobic or racist or transphobic or whatever, what are these rascals up to? Being horny bastards, that's what. We all knew this was coming. You can't make a video about conservatives and goth spaces without addressing the rampant gooning culture. My wife and I now even just say that these people are the gooners against cancel culture because, my god, do these people stay jorking their peanuts. Also, did you think the holidays might have slowed them down? Absolutely not. If anything, Christmas just dragged the nutcracker out of retirement for these guys to beat it and crush their nuts even harder. Strap in, or should I say strap on, because there's about to be so fucking many of these. How goth girls sleep. Not if I was around, they wouldn't be. Body yummy. I've never been in a relationship with a lovely leather lady who is taller than me before, but I'd be willing to try it for scientific research. You've never had your nuts stomped upon, and it shows, friend. I've only gotten edged out. Christmas 2025, Santa decides to use the naughty list for personal gain. Team Goth Girl. Can I have the second one from the right? Dear Santa, I've been a very bad boy this year, but one of them could fix me. All I want for Christmas is fat goth booties and fishnets. The perfect IHOP doesn't exist. I'll take the tall one in the middle. It looks great, but my wife would murder me if I went. Where is this? I need a Rooty Tooty fresh and fruity and a new wife. As long as they're all actually females. The one on the left takes multiple pills with various levels of cost, legality, and safety. She'll pawn your stuff and crash your car. The one in the middle has a dick. And the one on the right has mommy-daddy issues and possibly a bad touch uncle or grandpa. But regardless of the trauma, she'll set your couch on fire, crash your car, and give you crabs. This guy posted a video that I'll definitely get struck by YouTube if I show, but it's essentially a woman dancing with her belly out in a short skirt. And he says, "I'm not really thirsty, but this came up in my memories from a time when I was." Okay, dude, thanks for sharing the spank bank, I guess. But eventually this poor girl had enough. "I'm sick of the fetishization of alt women by men. No, we aren't all freaky or dommy. We're regular people who like different things." "We aren't fetishizing you." "Oh, that's good to know. They aren't fetishizing her." Anyways, do I take her home? The answer is, of course. No questions asked. No brainer. If she doesn't speak, only purrs. Make it purr. My wife would murder me. We've been wanting a cat, but one or maybe both of our dogs would have a problem. This one I think they would actually get along with. I honestly don't know what he means by that, and I don't think I want to know. Take her home, but if she pisses on the floor, I'm rubbing her nose in it. Yes, ask the wife for forgiveness later. Fuck, I thought you guys respected Robert Smith for his fidelity to his wife. Fuck yes, I give up my marriage for that pussy. Alright. I'm curious, has any other band made a music video that could only be released on Pornhub? He's just curious, guys. Don't worry about it. It's just for the art. Here's another post the gatekeepers are going to complain about. The best thing about big titty goth girlfriends, they sometimes evolve into big titty goth mommies. I am a tits man. I am very happy to see this. It sure isn't me complaining. Dear sweet baby Jesus. Santa's greed sickens me. Saint Dick is more like it. Why is it you never see goths in a hot tub? Someone is trying to weasel his way into free goth titty pics. Oh, and don't worry, they got AI to deliver them. They then posted some model who got backlash after twerking in a graveyard, but these good Christian guys loved it. With some great gifs. I'd let her twerk on my grave, acting like the ancestors in that graveyard aren't having the best time they've had in 200 years. Some more Coomer gifs. She can twerk on my grave. That guy had his partner in his profile pic, by the way. I would crab walk across 26.2 miles of Lego bricks on a humid afternoon in late July while getting shot with BBs in 6 hours flat just to hear shorty ass clap through a Fisher-Price walkie-talkie one time. Oh, that's awesome. Can I be the one slapping her ass to let you hear that sound? Didn't this pick-me post her essentially naked cosplay to get the boys' attention on her? Makes me want to post my Lady Death cosplay. I would hate if you sent me those pics. It would be so horrible. Oh geez, oh no, please don't. Please, I hate having to look at gorgeous women wearing outrageous outfits. This is absolutely vile and disgusting, and a complete disrespect to everyone. Where is the link to this gross vile crap so I can make sure to stay away? Look, honestly, this just goes on for a while. Most of the time on the group, though, it's just dumb memes like this. No offense to anyone, but I would need to know there is a vagina attached to whatever that butt is attached to. You're really afraid of being called gay, aren't you? And finally, this guy who simps over some metalhead YouTuber who has nothing to do with goth. In another life, when I was younger, and could still connect with someone on any kind of romantic sexual level, and if she would have been closer to my age, and in Texas, I definitely would have let Darby Valentine be a part of the pantheon of goth chicks that ruined my life. I don't know if I could call it a crush. I don't think I'm capable of those anymore. But I do enjoy looking at her. Edit. Let me rephrase. When I still cared to connect with anyone on a romantic level, that was before I went full misanthropic. If this comment section represents any cross-section of humanity, why would anyone ever want to let anyone get too close to them? There's a reason why, statistically, the overwhelming majority of relationships are doomed to fail. Because most people are assholes at heart. So some woman comments and says, goth women are not a fetish porn category. And of course this pissed them off. How is it fetishizing if he himself is a goth? This shit is getting out of hand. Okay, I never understood this point. How is it not a fetish to like men or women who dress or look a certain way, or are into certain things? I thought an unhealthy addiction to goth girls is normal. The casuals just have a problem with accepting it. All of this shit just reduces goth to a porn category, a fetish, some coomer fantasy. Somehow it's misogyny and hypersexualization at the same time. It's sexual repression seeping out of the restraints of conservatism. But God forbid any woman actually disagrees with them, because then they just jump into e-thought, OnlyFans, girl, blah, blah, blah. And it's crazy because if you directly confront them on this dichotomy, they'll talk about how much they hate porn. Coomers are a cancer on society, just contributing to the degradation of society. It's disgusting behavior that's pushed upon women, leading to the degeneration of society. Also, I don't think they even like actual goth style, because they constantly make fun of trad goth makeup. Do you remember those 3 girls from earlier who said that they couldn't be racist in the kind of goth beezy red pilled thing? They made fun of them for their makeup. Is that Kiss? Crimson here looks like Paul Stanley. Or they posted this post of a TikTok goth starter pack that includes trad goth makeup. Or this guy who says, ain't never seen a hot goth girl in my life. E-girls though, shit. These men are just so degrading and so degenerate. And it really just shows how women in goth spaces are constantly reduced, dismissed, and objectified. Porn addiction now is so rampant that this behavior from them is normalized. I mean, think about it. They're posting shit like, I'd leave my wife for that pussy, on their public Facebook profiles. Lastly, I just want to add that even as a male in the goth scene, I have run into this kind of behavior before as well. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am recently moved to Europe, but I'm actually originally from the Deep South. And at my previous job, I was sexually harassed so much by conservative women. Whether it was the quick little sexualized remarks like calling me a vampire twink, or you know what they say about tall, skinny guys, to me even just being straight up groped by one woman. My conservative coworker women were feral towards me. And these were also women who knew I was married. I think they just fetishized me because I had long hair, painted nails, and wore all black. I was something interesting. Now, I absolutely know that women in alternative spaces have it way worse, but I just wanted to give some male perspective on it as well. Because at the end of the day, to conservatives, goths are just objects for them to sexually gratify themselves because we're different. Goth isn't a culture, it's a fantasy, it's taboo. This is why goth is stripped of its music, its politics, its history. We are now just a porn category. The men are submissive, the women are all doms. The appeal isn't actually what goth is, it's just the fantasy of it. And the same people who moralize about degeneracy and decadence simultaneously indulge in this hypersexualized caricature of goth women, only to dismiss or attack them the moment these women show any kind of political agency or autonomy. Again, goths are viewed by conservatives only as aesthetic objects, sexualized, depoliticized, and stripped of agency. The moment that goths speak, organize, or assert, the fetish collapses into hostility. So what does all of this mean? Well, to me, I believe that conservatives are tired of conservative aesthetics. It's like they're finally realizing the contradictions of their ideology. These people don't want to be called conservative. They call themselves apolitical or libertarian or fiscally liberal but socially conservative or what the fuck ever. And while the group's owner insists the group isn't right-wing or conservative, there are still motherfuckers in the comments just mask off saying they are far or extreme right. Look, conservatism at its core is hyper-regulated, emotionally repressed, sexually rigid, and spiritually hollow. And as such, the modern conservative craves something different. They want rebellion without nuance or meaning, serving only to rectify and reconcile this anti-establishment rhetoric, while justifying bigoted beliefs. Goth to these people is just a costume, an outsider aesthetic, and simply a way to claim victimhood and oppression, all while reinforcing everything that counterculture has ever stood against. They don't want the nuance of being goth. They just want the feeling of being different from the rest of cookie-cutter white American society. To truly embrace goth, it requires abandoning gender stereotypes and hierarchy. And that is something conservatives will never do. Just like this person who they posted to make fun of, yet everything she says is true. What people think goth is: dark, edgy fashion, obsessed with Halloween, depressed, scary. What goth actually is: not conforming societal norms, non-conservative political beliefs, listening to the music, embracing individuality through expression, appreciation for the history, progressive values, the mindset, standing up for what is right. Maybe all of this is me gatekeeping, but maybe that's exactly what Goth needs. And I think a lot of other Goths would agree with me on that. I mean, that one creator that they hate, GothBZ666, one of her other videos was posted and she kind of reiterated the same thing. Hot take, you should absolutely gatekeep if it's protecting your community. And I completely agree. Otherwise, Goth will slowly be transformed into something that is entirely antithetical and devoid of meaning. And slowly these dudes will just end up infesting every Goth space and club. I'll end the video here with this post, which I think just summarizes the group perfectly. I'm sorry, but the only boots I lick are demonias. Yes, my standards are shockingly low. I had so many screenshots that I had to cut down, yet I still had so many examples of the issues in the comments that are here. This shows that it isn't just a few bad actors or moles in your group. This is a pattern of behavior in the Goths Against Cancel Culture group. But please remember, while these all were taken for public posts, the private individuals have had their identities hidden, so please do not go witch hunt them. So make your own conclusions, your own judgments, and let me know your thoughts on this group. I'm also sure I just invited a massive hate brigade from Goths Against Cancel Culture, but I really don't care. If any group members are watching and you had a problem with anything I said, just know that me and my wife are laughing at you. You can stay in your little circle jerk of bigotry and gooning and discuss those hard-hitting topics like, is Sleep Token Goth? Thank you for watching my video. I want to give a big thank you to my wife for inspiring me to make this and for putting up with me while I read her all the bullshit that I found on the group. I also want to give a shout out to Dimitri Falco or Chamber Graves. She was a big inspiration for me and also kind of encouraged me to make this video when I was a bit scared too. She also made her own video on this group, so go check them out too. GothBZ666 also deserves a shout out from all the hate that she's been receiving, so go show her some love. I think she's also planning to make a video on the group soon too. Hopefully with enough attention, this group becomes irrelevant and stays just a weird little alt group that has nothing to do with alt, and they just post their gooning pictures and hate speech in their own thing. I have no doubt that Facebook will do nothing if you report them, so all we can do is hope that they fade into obscurity, just like all the musicians who are in the group. So as I said earlier, not the great space for recording going on, but once I get set up, maybe I'll start making some more videos about Goth or alternative culture, or my experiences here in Europe. We'll see. In the meantime, keep the bigots out of Goth, take care of the baby bats, and support your local Goth scene. Peace.